And when we forget what it's all about, that Father has created us to live in a love walk with him and know how to love one another, to love creation. But when we find that we are disconnected from him, how can our love walk be right? He is the source of all love. If we have no connection with him, then our love walk with each other will be affected. So today, what I want to do is go through some key things about restoring that connection. It's so imperative that we know the author of love. He wrote the book on it. He wrote the book on love. He demonstrated the ultimate act of love. So is it possible that if we study him, study his basic instructions before leaving earth book, that we might know how to do this thing called love properly? Because I think if we're trying to do it without him, no wonder we're failing. Are we really applying the principles, techniques, and lifestyle that we ought to be in order to have the love that we want? If we don't have the right kind of love, if we're not being loved in the way that we want, if we're not loving people, it's because somewhere along the line there is a disconnect in our love walk. So we need to understand, what does it really mean to have a relationship? How do you conduct a healthy relationship? How do you nurture a healthy relationship? How do you foster one of those that will be consistent and last the test of time? And consistent. That's the word I like. Consistency. We want something that will be true. When something's true, it's level, it's balanced. In today's world, we have so many complications. And relationships now are becoming so much more dynamic, and the word is complicated. That's a very big buzzword now. What's your relationship status? Complicated. Because it's all now, we're mixing, different ethnic groups are coming together. That adds more complexity to the relationship. Obstacles to a successful relationship or marriage. The ever-increasing complex nature of modern relationships consists of such things as sexuality, trauma of past relationships. Because all of you, how many of you know your past relationships has programmed some things into you that you'll carry forward into your next relationship, good and bad. There's even serious trauma called post-traumatic stress disorder. Some people have been in relationships where they have suffered serious trauma, and they're bringing that into their relationships with people. It might have been from father to daughter. Unrequited love. Maybe you've been in a relationship where the love you've given was not returned in the same way. That can form a habit. That can form a trend within you that you carry forward. Selfishness. Even being over-demanding. The two can be one and the same. That you're so selfish, you're constantly over-demanding. It's all about you, you, you. This one I've highlighted because for me, this one encapsulates everything. Immaturity. Marriage is only for mature people. Marriage is only for mature people. If you've not yet matured, for goodness sakes, don't get married. Do the other person a favor. We need to be mature. Immaturity now is a great obstacle in many relationships. Because people have practiced hooking up, breaking up, hooking up, breaking up, hooking up, breaking up. And by the time they get to marriage, they've probably had about 10 different serious relationships where they've all just practiced getting together and breaking up. So when they get married, what do you think's next? Break up. They have not become. I mean this one for me is big. They have not become. They've not yet found out who they are. But yet they're getting together with you as a work in progress. Not yet knowing what they want in life, what they're doing in life, who they are in life. But yet now they've joined themselves to you and you're in a relationship with them. Do you think that relationship will go through some highs and some lows? A lot of storms, some rocky stuff will constantly be going on. It'll be constantly turmoil. Because that person was a work in progress. And maybe you are. So both parties need to first and foremost find themselves, know who they are, know what you want in life, so that you make it an easier as possible relationship to sail with your partner. Help yourself to become who you are. Some people are just needy, emotionally needy. And what they're looking for is like a mommy or daddy replacement. They haven't yet grown up. Again, they're needy, very dependent. Some people get into a relationship and they actually find, or you will notice, they're very codependent, constantly depending on the other. And after a while, that will drain on the other person. Because we're all here to want to give. But when I'm constantly like your mother or your father, and I'm constantly having to take care of you like you're my child, at some point the respect will go. Because this is not a mature relationship. This is like a parental-child relationship. You don't want to be in that situation.
Is that, sorry Gary, is that, say, somebody, they're with somebody, but that person's looking for a mother figure inside in their spouse or something like that? Yeah. Is that what you're getting?
So you need to be able to stand on your own 2 feet. You need to be, if you're a man, be a man. If you're a woman, be a woman. Not a little girl, not a little boy. You need to be able to stand on your own 2 feet. Why are you a grown man still needing her to wash your clothes? Can you not go to the washing machine for yourself? Do you need to be shown, you've just had a child, do you need me to keep teaching you how to do the nappy and change the nappy? At what point do you start getting involved? You see what I'm trying to say here? Where is your initiative? And this is what we find in relationships. One person can quite happily sit back and let the other one do everything like they're a parent. Then we have, as I said before, ethnically diverse relationships. All of that brings different cultural dynamics. Are you prepared, if you're dating someone from a different culture, if they have a different religion from you, are you prepared to accommodate that? Is that okay with you? Are you going to live with that? Because the scripture goes into this. That whatsoever state you meet someone, do you really have the right to change that individual? They should want to willingly change, not because you force them or you blackmail them into change. They should want to change if they want to. But if you meet someone as they are, you should learn to love them and accept them for who they are. That's the beauty about relationships. When you know you're in a relationship, when you are accepted for who you are and what you are, that's the most beautiful peace you can have. That you know who I am and you accept me for who I am. But if from day one, you've got a tick list of what you're going to change about me. There are some things that may need to change. Like if you have odor issues, that needs to change. But there are some things that is that person, that's them. I don't like the way you speak. Get that Birmingham accent out. I don't like it. But when you met me, that's how I met you. You know, I think you should dress like this. Well, there's always room for improvement, but to totally, radically change the way I see myself, now you're fashioning me into something that you desire. And to the point where you start to question, am I really what you want? Because you've got so many things you want to change, I don't even recognize me after a while. You're going to say something?
I was just going to say, you've highlighted the ethnical diverse relationship now. Is your presentation based on Western culture, or are we talking about Eastern culture as well? Because when we talk about immaturity, we know in Eastern culture there's women that get married at a very young age. And we're looking at that, even 10 to 16-year-old women getting married.
She's not even mature yet.
Exactly. And I'm referring that to Eastern culture.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I'm not going to take into consideration with that, because there's lots of things where I'm talking about, there's a remit for this presentation, okay? Then your situation might be, you need to leave that guy, okay? He's battering you, black and blue. I am not working within that remit. If he's doing that, he's abusing you, he's already broken the terms of the marriage, you need to get out before he kills you. I'm talking within a normal remit. Where we're talking about underage children no, I'm not talking about that. I'm trying to deal within a normal window. So I will not be able to encapsulate every situation in this presentation, okay, because certain things are just extremes, and that's an extreme. Okay.
Because what I'm saying, what's norm to you is not norm to them.
Of course. Okay. Right, so marriage is about service and giving more so than being served and receiving. So when you come into marriage, both parties are to come in with a servant mindset. I'm here to serve you. I'm here to, yes, care and edify and build up and be a helpmeet to you. Help you meet the target and goal for your life. Help you meet your aspirations and dreams. I'm here to help you. Both parties working like that, we've got a good relationship here. Financial stability. There will need to be financial stability. So you do need to think about that when you're entering into a relationship with someone. Is this person able to secure this relationship with me? Whatever we agree, if one of us will work and one will not, we have to be in agreement with that before we get into a commitment. So it's imperative both of you talk about everything. And before you commit, you agree that I can work with this. So in other words, be transparent and be open about everything. So you know what you're getting into before you commit. Because once you commit, you've committed. Okay? I love washing machines. I do love washing machines. This thing of, I like a good washing machine, a digital one that can just get on with the task. Program it, and it can go right through the sequences. An automatic washing machine is a blessing. If we didn't have one in the home, can you imagine the clothes just piling up and washing them by hand? I remember the days when my mom used to wash clothes by hand. Oh my goodness. I used to go to the shop and get the big soap. Goodness gracious me. But washing machines have changed everything. But you can learn a lot from a washing machine. You can learn an awful lot. So this teaching is based around a washing machine. Okay? We can learn, and we will learn, a lot. The issues we face in a relationship can often be like the cycles of a washing machine. Ever just going round and around and seemingly going nowhere at 1,600 cycles per minute. You wouldn't wear a shirt once and throw it away, would you? You would simply put it in the washing machine to clean it so you can wear it again. So too are our relationships. They can be restored to health if we apply the right due care and attention. So we feel pride, and pride is restored about the garment, about the relationship. So there's no need to throw it out. If we just put it through a cycle of cleansing, we can restore the pride in the relationship. Remember at the beginning, it was great, but there'll be times when you'll go through some stuff, wear and tear, and it may take away the gleaming beauty that was once there. But I'm saying to you, through application of the word, we can wash it and make it clean as it was in the beginning. So the cycle that I'm going to go through with you today, a lot of this I drew from a book called Love and Respect, and the key one was Breaking the Communication Code, written by Emerson Eggerich. I encourage you, the book is on the Ahavah website as one of the recommended books for reading for marital relationships. There are videos and seminars on love and respect that you can also download or get online. In the beginning, we all know that passion, we all know the excitement, we all know it's gleaming and it's shining, and there's no fault to be found in him, there's no fault to be found in her. It's perfect in the beginning, and that's awesome. And wouldn't we like it if that beginning stage could just stay and be permanently there? At the beginning, I'm sure, for many a woman, you could quote these words like they were your own words from the book of Song of Solomon or Song of Songs. I wait for my beloved to come, for he is coming for me. My heart rejoices and my whole being praises his name. I am because he is. Heaven awaits me. Praise his name. At the beginning of the relationship, that's how you feel. You see her, you see him, and you're walking on clouds. It's just perfect. You're praising Yah every day for this woman being in your life. You think, I am blessed. I'm going to get married to this one. This is my Isha. This is my Ish. Hallelujah. Shalom is perfect, and the world just seems so open at the beginning. But after a while, there will become conflict. After a while, the 1 and 2 disagreements become 3 and 4, 5 and 6. He begins to think in blue, she sees and thinks in pink. Conflict after conflict, unresolved, just builds. And after a while, resentment will dig in. And after a while, the stone wall goes up. And we find this as a reoccurring theme. You've heard it in social circles and in society. Men think in blue and girls think in pink. Because men don't see things quite the same way as women do, and women don't see things quite the same way as men. By our very sexual nature, we are different. And that's okay. We shouldn't think exactly alike. What was the fun in that? An example of pink and blue thinking is when a wife says, I've got nothing to wear. What does she mean? What she means is, I've got nothing new. When a husband says the same thing, he means, I've got nothing clean. He explains, God designed women to look at the world through pink sunglasses, hear through pink hearing aids, and speak through pink megaphones. All 3 of these things affect how she sees, hears, and speaks. She expects everyone to understand what she says because all of her girlfriends understand what she says. The same goes for guys, except they accessorize with blue as their color of choice. All of their buddies understand them, so why can't the wife understand as well? The question we must ask ourselves and ask each other is, what did you mean by what you said? It's a counseling technique. In counseling, when we're counseling someone and you've told me everything, I will then repeat what you said to see did I understand you correctly. Then you will give the affirmation or correction. That way I am sure I understood what you said. Does that make sense? It's the only way. So when your partner communicates with you, before you respond, ask, is this what you said? Am I understanding you correctly?
So basically paraphrasing what you just stated.
As clearly as possible and as close as possible.
Yeah.
Think about all the arguments that couples could potentially avoid if they simply understood what each other meant in the first place. Most spouses aren't out to pick a fight. So if they could see the world through each other's colored glasses, how much easier would life be? Because ultimately, what we all want is a happy, healthy relationship with each other. When we choose to believe the best about the other, we are then goodwill people. And this is something I call positive regard. Positive regard changes everything. If you look at me believing and knowing, I only want the best for you. I'm not against you, I'm for you. And if you look at me, wife, knowing and believing from the beginning that I really want to be one with you, I really want the best for you, I'm really listening, I'm wanting to understand, that's positive regard. But when we go in thinking, you're going to just reject everything I say, you're not going to listen to what I'm saying, you don't like me, you can't stand me. If you go in with a negative mindset, already the argument has already begun in your head and you've already determined the end from the beginning. But if we go in with a positive regard towards each other, a positive outlook towards each other, it will change the outcome of our conversations. 1 Corinthians 7, and you might want to make a note of all these scriptures. Got a lot to deliver today. So I'm going to try and keep it within time. Like I said, we'll break it over 2 weeks, so it's not too much in one go. 1 Corinthians 7, verse 28. But if you marry, and this is a good foundational text to start from, if you marry, you do not sin. And if a girl marries, she does not sin. So marriage is good, guys. Regardless of what the world says, marriage is awesome. It's amazing. Whatever you see from statistics, whatever. Marriage is amazing. It is just that those who get married will have the normal problems of married life. Okay? Key word is what? Normal. Normal. But when problems happen in marriage, people think, oh my gosh, I married the wrong person. Oh, I should have married him before. I should have married Tony. I should have married Ricky. I should have married Sheila. I should have married that. It's normal what's going on in your marriage. Everybody's going through the same thing. So just get it through your heads. You've not married the wrong one. It's not messed up. He's not messed up. She's not messed up. You're just going through the normal problems of married life. Because you'll see other households will have the same issues as you. Okay? So just get that into your heart and mind. All too often, people just see things they don't like and they shut down, they disqualify, they close down. All too often when we are not seeing our partner meeting our needs, we shut down. The walls go up. And we become intolerant of anything they have to say to us. We're no longer tolerant. We're no longer available. We're no longer open. We're no longer patient. Just because you didn't hear something or see something that you wanted or hear something you didn't like. We need to learn to be able to get to the root. Whatever I see on the surface, there's something deeper beyond that. Take the time to explore the root. Find the root. The body of Messiah is not facing a marriage crisis, but in fact the body of Messiah actually suffers from a faith or trust crisis. The divorce rate is higher in the church than in secular society simply because believers are not willing to believe wholeheartedly, stand on and apply Father's principles for restoration of the marital covenant. So Father's telling us, whatever you're going through, if you're in the flesh, it's normal. But if you apply my principles, apply my word, you will restore, you will heal the relationship, and you can actually take it to a better level than where it was before. In fact, we need to get past that place where we think the best days were at the beginning. Because I find oftentimes those who've been married for a lengthy period of time tell you their best days were years to come. It took time. But the longer they go in their marriage, they're more fulfilled in their partner. They're more convinced more than ever, this woman was the right woman for me. But if you made a judgment based on the early years, they would have split apart. So the key is going to be love and respect. If we apply these two attributes, love and respect, you will have the relationship you've only dreamed of. You will find the key for restoration and wholeness and fulfillment in these two attributes. Love is what she most desires. Respect is what he desperately needs. I'll say it again. The love she most desires and the respect he desperately needs. She needs love in all its forms. And I'm going to break down to you 6 different types of love that you may not even know about. And I'm going to break down respect. When we understand what love really looks like and what it is, and when we understand respect, now you have the tools wherewith to use to build the harmonious relationship that you want to see.
Gary, just quickly, this is where sometimes get confused. We talk about she desires love and so on. Is it vice versa? Doesn't a man need love as well?
Man needs love, but we're going to come to that. So, let's jump ahead. So these are the 2 books I want to encourage you to get, guys. Cracking the Communication Code. This was the book that I just found. It was amazing. I absorbed that book and loved that book so much. And this was the companion book that came out sometime after. So Cracking the Communication Code and Love and Respect. Make a note of this acronym. Before you speak, and I'm sure Junior came up with this a long time ago. I'm sure you've said it. Before you speak, think. It was a famous philanthropist who had said to a crowd of reporters that just barraged him at the airport, and they asked him give us a wise saying, give us one of your proverbs. And he simply said this to them: I wish that men would think. Because if we think and if we thought, man would not create the things that they've created. They would not do the things they've done. For example, Bill Gates is talking about, as Junior was reminding us today, depopulation programs to reduce millions off the earth through inoculation. If they would think, they would not do that. There are many ways to deal with this issue other than killing people. So think. T is for true. Is it true what I'm believing about my partner? Is it true what I'm saying to my partner? Is it really true? H, is it helpful? Is what I'm about to say helpful for her right now to hear this? Is it helpful for me to hear this right now? Really? I, is what I'm saying inspiring her? Is what I'm saying inspiring him? N, is it necessary? Do I really need, am I saying this for my benefit? Or is it for his or her benefit? Think. K, is it kind? Is what I'm saying, is it coming over in kindness? Or is it coming over as a demand? Is it coming over as me trying to really control you? Or is what I'm saying kind to you? So is it true? Is it helpful? Is it inspiring? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Before you speak, think. Something I'm teaching on next week for the third part of the Tevila class is the fruit of the Spirit. Please study this. Galatians chapter 5, verse 22. But when you read 22, just read to the end. You might as well. It's all linked together. That in the beginning, it all started with a fruit of a tree. The division between man and woman. From that act of disobedience, here we are with sin. So we learn that we need to discipline ourselves in the area, yes, of what we eat. But there's ways that you eat other than just through your mouth, through your eyes, through your ears. What you're watching, what you're hearing directly affects and has the power to shape and sculpt you and change who you are. There's a mouth gate, and there's an eye gate, and there's an ear gate, and there's a touching gate, and there's a tasting gate. 5 senses. So the enemy can communicate and steer and manipulate you and oppress you through any one of those 5, not just what goes through your mouth. Go ahead.
Because when I spoke earlier on, I was going to mention this, and I wasn't focused on my notes. But in the nutritional field, there's something called gene expression or epigenetics.
Yes.
And cellular level.
Yes.
So its basis is right. Gene expression can change DNA expression. So for the people young people, I want to be a certain thing. I want to be an animal. I want to be an elephant. I want to be a man or a girl or a boy. So, and what you said, what you eat, what you breathe, what you drink, what you think, how you perceive it, whether it's real or not true, has an impact on our gene expression. So basically, as you say, it's not just about what you're eating. That's crucial. It's also about what you're thinking, how you're feeling as well. So
absolutely, absolutely. Thank you very much. So we've got to go back to looking at the fruit of the Spirit, and the Word is the food that we are meant to be eating, because the Word has the power to shape and to form and to cut off, to purge out, to wash and to cleanse. If you're not eating a staple diet of the Word, what kind of a being are you? Some of us are creatures, beasts, led and controlled by emotions, sensual, the Bible says. So if something happens over here at work, you bring all that negativity into your home, because you just become like a receiving part of all that negativity. Father wants us to be a people who are in control of our emotions, not our emotions in control of us. Let me break down what I said before about the types of love that there are. There are 7 different types of love. In the English word, we only have one word, love, and we just use that word love. I love you, Rohit. Get married. I love my wife. I love my children. I so love my camera. One word applied to all these things. I love this building. One word. But in the Greek, they didn't have one word. They used different words to articulate different types of love. So you can make a note, take a picture of these different types of love. We're all familiar with eros love. Eros love, erotic, sexual intimacy. That's pretty much, we understand that. But then we have the philia love. which is Philadelphia in the Bible, city of Philadelphia. That's a brotherly or sisterly love, like two sisters or two brothers. That's affection. You can have that with a person who's not a member of your family, but you have that affection to that person. So that's a brotherly or sisterly love, an affectionate love. Friendship is phileo love. But then we have agape love, and I'm sure you're familiar with agape love. Agape love is a selfless love. It's nothing about me. I'm doing this unconditionally, unconditional love. There's nothing you can do that would cause me to say, oh, now I'll give you. In other words, this is free. Okay? It's unmerited. You are just giving this love away. It's not based on you doing anything for it. Okay? So it's a completely unconditional. There's no conditions attached to me giving this love to you. We use the word charity in the King James. We just charitably give it away. And that's the love that Father calls upon for us to have, that agape love. Then there's pragma love. Pragma is a long-standing love. That's the love. I love this one. Because don't just love me today. Will you still love me tomorrow? Will you still love me next year? Will you still love me 10 years from now? We want to get to that place in our relationships where the love is consistent. You can think of some friends, I'm sure, that you've been friends with that person and it's been consistent for 10 years. That's a long-standing love. We want that kind of love to be there. A love that will weather the storms. A love that's been through some things and it's still here for you. That's pragma love. Then you have storge. Storge is the love that a parent has for a child. You don't know the child. Maybe as a mother, you just give them birth to the child. It's not even spoke a word yet. Hasn't gone to jail yet. But you love the child. That's storge love. You can see a child on the street and you just want to help that child across because you have a love. The child's not even yours. You don't even know the child, but that's storge love. You just love children. Then there's ludus. Lewd behavior, that's where the word comes from, is a playful love. For example, when you're dancing with a stranger or you're flirting with a stranger, that's ludus love. And it can go on from there, but that's ludus. Just a playful love. There's no connection there, and it can involve flirting. Then we have this last type of love, philutia, which is a love of self. And there are people that really do love themselves. They walk past the mirror, oh my goodness. Philutia love of self. They really love themselves. They love the way they look, they love their clothes, they just love themselves. That's philutia love.
Is that wrong?
I'm going to come to that. Because in Scripture, there's only about one verse in the New Testament which has this verse. And it's actually in negative context.
Right.
But I'm going to flip it over. You are meant to have a good degree of love of yourself. You need to learn to love yourself. But I want to jump ahead of myself. But then there's unhealthy where you're just obsessed with self. That's unhealthy. But then on the other side, you must learn to love yourself. Let me jump ahead and just do it. You will love people in proportion to how much you love yourself.
That's right. That's true.
If you have no love and respect for yourself, how do you expect other people to love you and respect you?
That's right.
People pick up on the fact that you actually carry yourself with a sense of dignity. People pick up on you that you actually love yourself. You will not tolerate certain things being said and done to you because you love yourself. You know what your parents or what your father has raised.
That's right.
And you love that in you. You will not allow anyone to infringe, shut the door, infringe upon that love for you. You love yourself. You know that you've come through some things. And you won't tolerate anyone dealing with you a certain way because you've learned to love yourself. Ladies, gentlemen, love yourself. Father has loved you and lavished his love on you. He wants you to know that. When you love yourself, you will value yourself.
That's right. It's true.
Okay, you made me jump ahead, but it's cool. Let's define respect. So we've looked at love. Everybody cool with love? Everybody understand love? Okay. How many different types of love were there? 7. Good. Perfect number, isn't that? Perfect number. So the Greek, you can see why the English language is so limited, and the Greek can be very helpful for us to understand the Greek because it's far more detailed. It's fuller. It's a language that's more full with descriptive words than just the English. The vernacular is broader, and I actually love studying the Greek. So let's define respect. Respect is, and this is in any dictionary, you can Google up a different definition, a feeling of deep admiration. Remember I said before, the woman needs love. So remember all what I said there. A woman actually needs all of this. I didn't say that. It's not that she just wants one. Hear me out, guys. They want it all. Women want everything. When you show them this, a woman will say, I want it all. I don't just want one. I want the whole thing. Because there's going to be times, guys, when you want her to be, yes, Eros, but then you want her to be your brother and sister. And that's a beautiful relationship in a marriage when the two of you are so close, it's like brother and sister. In fact, I've actually seen couples begin to look like each other over time. They actually grow. And this isn't the older couples. They actually begin to look like each other over time because they've become, as the word says, echad, one, which is again the plan of Yah. But then there's times for agape. Unconditional love is how that marriage will be nurtured. You'll want it to be a long-standing love. Yeah? But then there'll be a time when you may have to play that parent for a while. Playful love, where you flirt with each other, and then you also have to love yourself. Teach your partner to love themselves as well. So you can see how all this can play into a relationship. Let's deal with respect. So, respect, a feeling of deep admiration for someone or something elicited by their abilities, qualities, or achievements. So this is not about how you look. This is about inner qualities about you. That they respect your abilities and your qualities and your achievements. Respect a person's polite greeting so you can give someone your respect. That's a polite greeting. Respect can be defined as used to express the speaker's approval of someone or something. I have respect unto what you say, or I don't have respect unto what you say. Respect, due regard for the feelings, wishes, or rights of others. A particular aspect, point, or detail. That is a complete definition of what respect is. So, I want you to respect who I am. I would like for you to respect my achievements. I would like for you to know what my achievements, do you even know what my achievements are? I would like for you to respect that I'm polite. I would like for you to respect the way that I speak. At least have respect unto what I say. And if you don't approve of it, be kind in the way that you disapprove of what I say. And giving due regard for a person's feelings and wishes and rights, it goes without saying. So a man especially needs to know that he's respected. If a man is being loved, but a man isn't being respected, it ain't going to work out very well for very long. Because love only carries so far. But if you don't respect the way I speak, if you don't respect what I think, if you don't respect what I say, I'm being deemed emasculated. The very thing that makes me a man, you're robbing me of that. So just loving me, especially eros-wise, will not fulfill me. I need to feel respected. And as a man, you're supposed to be the head of the house. So therefore, as a man, you need to have the qualities that actually positions you and qualifies you to be the head of the house. We're going to keep going into that. But I found another definition, because that's what dictionaries tell you. I like to do etymological analysis. Can you say that with me?
Etymological analysis.
Well done. Right. The etymology of words. The word respect actually means this: to look back at or observe. In fact, both. Respect means to look back at and observe. To look back at and observe. We get the word inspect. If you inspect, you're inspecting what's in something, or you're inspecting something. To rewind, to respect, means to look back. Open up your mind. I'm looking at Junior, but for me to respect him, I need to look way into the back of his life. I need to look into how he was raised. How did he become the man he is now? Can I get all that information in just 5 minutes? No. That's going to take a relationship. That's going to take time. That could take years for me to respect who he is now. I need to respect where he came from. When I understand and respect where he came from, then I can say I know who this man is. So when we're doing counseling, one of the things we'll do is tell me about your parents. Tell me about your father. Tell me about your mother, your father, your aunts, your uncles. I want to know your influential peer group. Who did you grow up under and around? Apples don't fall far from. So if I want to know Junior, if I want to know Rohit, I can learn a lot about you that you may not even know yourself when I know your peer group, where you grew up under. What tree did you grow up under? If I study the tree, I can tell a lot about the fruit. Okay? So that's what we do. So respect is to look into a person's background. I'm sure Junior's daughter's going to get married, and he'll want to know, I want to meet the parents. Because the guy's okay, but show me his background. I want to meet the parents. I want to know the background, the back picture. Show me that, because that's what you're marrying into. You don't just marry an individual, you marry the family.
That's right.
You best know what kind of family you're marrying into, because you're inheriting all of that. So hear me and hear me well, ladies. So this word respect is huge. Wives, love your husbands, and husbands love your wives, thank you, and wives respect your husbands. So now you know what the word respect means. Now it's got a whole different connotation to it. That you need to look into his background. You need to look into him. What is behind the surface? Don't just fall in love with the veneer. Don't just fall in love with the surface. Respect. Go into his background. Go into him deep. Find out, who is he really? Get past the mask. Everybody wears masks. I want to talk about masks today. That's a serious one. But once we get past the mask, then we can find out who you really are. Because we all show people our best at the beginning. We all wear some kind of veneer at the beginning. But after a while, that needs to come down. Let's start delving into some of the scriptures. Ephesians chapter 5. You can learn, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to understand marriage, please study Ephesians chapter 5. We're going to unpack it today. Ephesians chapter 5 kicks off like this. Submit to one another in fear of the Messiah. That's the get-go. Submit one to another in the fear of the Messiah. Wives should submit to their husbands as they do to Yahuwah. The same way you submit to Yeshua is the same way you submit to your husband. I don't care what you think. I don't care what you have to say. I don't care what you've seen. In order to have a right relationship, we need to tear up the building and tear up the foundations and relay the foundation. This is the foundation. Wives, submit. He's not asking you. He's telling you. Submit to your husbands the same way you do to Yeshua. Because the husband is the head of the wife. Just as the Messiah, as head of the messianic community, is himself the one who keeps the body safe. The husband, the man, and this is applicable whether you're married or not, guys. Your man needs to be exercising. If you haven't married him yet, he needs to be exercising and demonstrating he can protect you. He should be proving, I'm your covering, and I will always be your covering. I'll be your provider. Not just material assets. I'll provide for you emotionally. I'll provide for you spiritually. And I will give of myself. If I don't have it, you can have whatever I've got. Because I would rather see that you're taken care of. That's how I protect you. He'll give himself. So he himself is the one who keeps the body safe. Just as the messianic community submits to the Messiah. So also wives should submit to their husbands in everything. So from the beginning, he's giving his life for you. So therefore you should submit to him. Let's just get that clear. As for the husbands, and the scriptures I'm reading today, everything's balanced. I don't think it's just me attacking or having a go at one particular group. This is completely balanced and fair. I'm just following the scripture. I'm not in the midst of all of this. This is just the word for us to live by.
All discrimination.
As As for husbands, love your wives, just as the Messiah loved the Messianic community. Indeed, gave himself up on its behalf in order to set it apart for Yahuwah, making it clean through the immersion in the mikveh. There's your washing machine. Making it clean through the immersion in the mikveh, so to speak, in order to present the Messianic community to himself as a bride to be proud of. Every man, you should be proud of your woman. Whether you're married or you should be proud of her. If you're not proud of your wife, if you're not proud of your husband, you need to do some work. But the man should be proud of his wife, of his spouse. Like their own bodies. So this is how, without spinal wrinkles, this is how husbands ought to love their wives. So follow this prescription. This is how husbands ought to love their wives, like their own bodies. For the man who loves his wife is loving himself. This is where we come back to what you said. This is why I don't disqualify loving yourself. Because this text here requires you to know how to love yourself. So if a man doesn't know how to love himself, according to this verse, he won't know how to love his wife. So this is very important. Why? No one ever hated his own flesh. On the contrary, he feeds it well. Some of us too well. And takes care of it, just as the Messiah does the Messianic community. So you feed it, and you take care of it, your body. So your wife, you feed her, and you take care of her. You do the inspection to find out, what does my wife need? My car's going in for an MOT next week. And the first thing they'll do, before they do any work, plug it into the computer, and the computer will pick out everything my car needs. Then they go to work. They'll test it, anything else flag up, they'll deal with it. So they do an inspection before they do any work. Have you respected by inspecting to find out what your wife needs? Does she even know what she needs? If she doesn't know what she needs, the two of you come together and go to Father and ask Father, show us what he or she needs. Your job is to take care of her the same way you take care of your body. Outside, I see some men take better care of their cars than they do their wives. That shows you where their heart is, because where your heart is, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So, because we are parts of his body, therefore a man will leave his father and mother and remain with his wife, and the two become echad one. There is profound truth hidden here. What does he mean by profound truth hidden here? That the goal for every ish and isha is to become one. In everything you do, be one. Oh, how beautiful when brothers dwell together in unity. Husbands and wife in unity. In fact, in many situations in your relationship, you'll find this to be true. The right thing is neither his or her way, it's the two combined together. So neither of you are ideally perfectly right, but the two together have a better aim at being right than one on their own. Does that make sense? So it's not right or wrong, it's that we both need to come together to find the answer. So compromise. Yeah? We need to humble ourselves. It's not a battle. We're both trying to arrive together. Which I say concerns the Messiah and the Messianic community. However, the text also applies to each of you individually, as what I'm saying. Let each man love his wife as he does himself, and see that the wife respects her husband. See, for a woman and a man, we have different primary needs. Okay? Her primary need is to feel loved in everything. That secures her, security. And for a man's primary need, it's actually respect. Respect. If I see that I have a value to you and worth to you, and I'm respected, I feel I belong here. But if I don't feel valued, if I don't feel respected, I no longer feel I belong here.
Isn't that ego then coming in?
We can come into that in a bit. Right? But ego, part of your ego is you. Yeah? It's not neither bad or good. Everybody should feel valued. A man should feel valued, especially as the head. He needs to be affirmed as the head of the house. He doesn't want to be in a place where I'm demanding to be the head. He wants to be affirmed by the members of the house so that you are our covering. We accept you, and we value you, and we love you, and we are thankful for you. A man wants to feel appreciated. So if you want to call that ego, there's nothing wrong with being appreciated and valued. You want to belong. And for a wife, she needs to feel loved, and that secures her. But loved, not just sexually, loved in a myriad of ways. Those 7 different ways, she needs to feel loved in all those levels. That's just the women are very feline. Cats, don't care who's stroking, just stroke me. Cats love attention. Women are very feline in it. I could go somewhere with that, but I'll leave it alone. Women just like to feel that you love me. Just give me that affirmation. Give me that comfort. Give me that reassurance. Constantly stroke me, and I'm at peace. I'm at calm. Principal things in relationships in order to be able to negate and navigate through a relationship and all the issues. The Bible says in Proverbs chapter 4 verse 1, wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding. This is what we need in relationships, is that we have a major crisis, and the crisis is you don't know what you're doing, you have no understanding of how to do this, therefore we are crashing. So the Bible tells us, get wisdom. Wisdom is what? Wisdom is the ability to appropriate knowledge. You can have knowledge but don't have wisdom.
That's right.
When you have knowledge, you need wisdom. So wisdom tells you what to do with that knowledge. So we need wisdom to be able to navigate all the issues of life, especially marriage.
So what's knowledge?
Knowledge is just knowledge. It's just the bare knowledge. So you have the cold facts. For example, I've got the components to make a BMW. I don't have the wisdom to put it together to make a car. Wisdom is knowing how to use the components to build that fantastic car. Does that help you?
Yeah.
Appropriating knowledge is knowing what to do with it.
So we can say wisdom is to discern what is from right and wrong.
Now you're talking about, you said discernment, that's different. Yeah?
Discernment between what's right and wrong. Just like Solomon did when that woman come, that was wisdom he applied. It wasn't knowledge, was it?
He asked for wisdom.
Yeah.
But then he wanted to know, I want wisdom to know how to judge.
Yes.
That's the word discernment.
That's what I want.
So knowledge, wisdom, discernment. And there is the gift of discernment on top of that.
And
So
for
anyway.
instance, I can acquire all the knowledge in the world by reading all the books and so forth, but wisdom, I might not have wisdom in order to make the right decision, the right choices. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Remember that word.
So when we don't have wisdom, this is what happens. Relationships fall into what's called the crazy cycle. So we've hit a problem, we've hit issues, we don't have the wisdom to be able to deal with this, break this down, understand it, come to terms, arrive at peace. So the frustration builds, the resentment builds, and we end up in the crazy cycle. And it's going round and around, and now you're accusing me, you're attacking me, you're fault-finding me. You know what? I'm fault-finding you. I'm accusing you. I'm attacking you. Who do you think you are? What? And we get into this cycle. And it becomes literally crazy. And it just becomes an infinite cycle. And it's this. This is the cycle. Without love, she reacts without respect. Without respect, he reacts without love. She reacts without respect, he reacts without love. And it's just going round and around and around, and the washing machine is going on a long cycle. And this is the crazy cycle, and I'm sure I've been there, I'm sure you've been there, and you've seen the nastiness that comes out. In the washing machine, this is where all the filth and all the dirt is being washed around that drum. And people get stuck there. Let's break a few things down. Number one, this is what we have to stop doing. We want to break out of the crazy cycle. Nobody wants to be in there, but how do you get out of the crazy cycle? Step one, stop thinking he or she is winning one over on you. Because the enemy gets into your mind. And automatically you've already defeated yourself by thinking the other person is just going to get one over on me. He's going to have his way anyway. She's going to have her way anyway. She always wins. He always has the last say. Stop thinking he or she is winning one over on you. Scripture for that is 1 John 4:18. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear, because fear hath torment. He that feareth is not made perfect. That text is a deliverance verse in itself. If you can just get that text in you, that's deliverance in itself. Because the reason why you're thinking the way you're thinking is coming from a heart of fear. Fear. Father says, if you've been, and the word I've taught this week, the word perfect is the word mature. So Father wants our love to be mature, a mature love. You can't walk with Father and have immature love. If you trust Father, then you have to trust Him that He's got a plan worked out for you. There is no fear in love. You can't be in a love relationship and walk in fear. Fear is like cancer. It undermines and it spreads disease and it breaks everything down. Number 2, stop returning insult for insult, blow for blow. I said this, so you're going to get one back on me. Cycles. 1 Peter 3:8. Finally, all of you, be one echad in mind and feeling. Love as brothers and be compassionate and humble-minded. Compassionate, humility, not repaying evil with evil or insult with insult. We're not going to get anywhere with just trading words. You give me a cold shoulder, I give you a cold shoulder. You give me a dirty look, I give you a dirty look. You don't speak to me, I don't speak to you. Cycles. On the contrary, where am I? Not repaying evil for evil with insult, but on the contrary with blessing. So if you're going to throw something nasty at me, the word says I should come and bless you. That's how we break the cycle. For every negative thing you do to me, I'm going to return something positive and kind towards you. Follow the prescription, you'll get out of the quicksand. Don't follow the prescription, you'll just sink and die. For whoever wants to love life and see good days must keep his tongue from evil and his lips from speaking deceit. Why deceit? Because the enemy is deceiving. The enemy is lying. Your husband or your partner, your boyfriend or your girl is not your enemy. But the enemy, our enemy, wants you to believe that your partner is the enemy. And they'll have you to, once you were lovers on fire, now you're fighting at loggerheads, hating each other. How did you get from that to this? It's deception. The enemy is a deceiver. Remember who you're dealing with. He turned 1/3 of heaven against heaven. So do you think you're a problem for him? No, you're not. We're easy pickings. This is how we sanitize ourselves from being contaminated with evil. Don't speak deceit. You might think it, but what we said before you speak, think. Sanitize your lips and sanitize your mouth. That's what some of us need to do. Because some of us are just nasty. Some of us, when you get on the wrong side of some of us, the words that come out, like, sorry sisters, women have this thing nailed, the daggers and the broken glass that come out from their mouths. It's like they need to take some of that sanitizer liquid and wash their tongues and wash their mouths. Because the enemy is filled with that much resentment and bitterness. It's coming out in the form of broken words and shards of glass are coming out of your lips. You going to say something briefly?
Yeah, I was going to just pick up on something what you just said. Backtrack to what you said. Before they get into that, and you're saying that we're applying this remedy before getting into that, can that the enemy's coming in and so forth? Is it now because they probably had enough of the relationship? That's their way of now exiting out of the relationship.
Absolutely. Sometimes people are like that.
Using some excuse now. Let's just get out of this relationship. Let's boom boom.
Because
let's somebody else now.
And I hope did you understand what Rohit was saying? Some people look for the exit door because it's become either too intimate for them, where it's not just sexual. Now you're requiring more of the individual. Right. You're wanting more from them, and they have nothing in their reservoir. They're just superficial. Yeah. Some are actually afraid of commitment, in other words, is what I'm trying to say. And when they really see commitment coming, they're looking for the front door. When it was just bedroom and fun and party, they were in for that. But the moment you showed that you wanted a ring on the finger and commitment, they're headed for the door. Because they're not yet ready for that level of intimacy and commitment. Some just want to have fun and that's it. Girls just don't want to have fun. There's guys that they want to have fun too. Go ahead, Aduk. There's more to that as well, but I don't want to go on all day.
Very quickly as well. Sometimes people want out of a relationship because they've started a new one.
Yes.
Because they find in what they had before what they lost and they found it in someone else.
And oftentimes, why is that? Because there's a superficial need being met that they probably find benefits from.
You mentioned it earlier, and it's about emotional stuff. But we, as us talk about for men, we emotionally immature and weak, and when we can't take the pressure, we should run us.
Yeah.
I'm speaking for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a relationship like that. I just ran. Every time conflict came, trauma came, I just ran.
God, yeah.
And when you keep running from your problems,
Yeah.
as Bob Marley says, problems are going to find you. So you can't keep running from it, you can't
Yeah.
keep running. So you have to deal with your emotional, your weakness, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Emotions for men are weak.
If you remember the very first slide about the one where I listed up all the different complicated issues you can have in relationships, those can be the reasons why people leave. For a number of reasons. So it's not just one thing, it can be several reasons why people jump out of a relationship early. Maybe they realize that they just, I don't want to say it, I'm trying to find a better way to say it. Maybe they realized for some reason that this partner was not living up to an expectation that a previous partner set, read between the lines. Because they've gone from relationship to relationship, they like you and you're great. Maybe you're Hebrew, you believe in the Bible, wonderful, you're godly, you're wonderful, you're a great person, but maybe they found or they suspect that the area of intimacy in the room is not going to be equal to someone else. They're gone. They're not willing to build, they're not willing to learn and grow you. They see something that does not seem to be quite in comparison to someone else, and they're gone. So read between the lines of what I'm trying to say there. And people leave relationships for a number of reasons. They don't have trust and they aren't prepared to walk in faith. So, we're on. Whoever wants to love life and seek good days must keep his tongue from evil and his lips from seeking deceit. Turn from evil and do good. Seek peace and chase after it. For Yahuwah keeps his eyes on the righteous and his ears are open to their prayers. But the face of Yahuwah is against those who do evil things. So, acting up, coming out with evil speak, evil thoughts, that's not fruitful, therefore it's not of the Ruach. Okay? Simple as. Point 3. To the pure, all things are pure. I love this. Titus 1:15. Unto the pure, all things are pure, but unto them that are defiled and unbelieving is nothing pure. But even their mind and conscience is defiled. There is something profound about this verse I have found to be so true. That sometimes what people give out is who they are, not you. They're projecting themselves onto you. So the thoughts and the words that they come out with, it's got nothing to do with you. They're coming out with who they are. And they're projecting it onto you as though you should wear that suit. And you find yourself battling with this partner. But really what they're doing is they're projecting their fears, they're projecting their insecurities, they're projecting their past onto you and making you fit this cardboard cutout that you don't answer to. And you're finding yourself fighting, but you're thinking, who is this? I don't recognize this person you're talking about. Because they're projecting. And you need to learn sometimes, this is why loving yourself is so important. Because when you love yourself, when you know yourself, you don't answer to stuff that's not you. In other words, you don't allow yourself to be conformed to other people's fears and insecurities. Father wants us to be pure. Father wants us to conduct ourselves, think pure, speak pure, be pure. But when it becomes low down, dirty, and nasty, that's just not of the Ruach. And that can only breed more darkness. If you want to get to the light, you're not going to get to the light being nasty. You're not going to get to the light being underhanded, being evil. Point 4. Stop running ahead mentally as to what he or she may be thinking. This one I love. Stop running ahead. Be existential. Be here. Be now. Don't run ahead of me, presuming I'm going to do that. That's called a presumptuous spirit.
Yeah.
And that's a sin in the Bible. Point 5 is linked to that. Or it's the same thing. Stop thinking you know everything about me. It's linked to the former point. Stop thinking you know everything about him or her. That's a presumptuous spirit, the Bible calls it. James chapter 4, verse 10, 1 Peter 5:5, make a note of that. You can understand his errors. Cleanse thou me from secret faults. Keep back thy servant also from presumptuous sins, the Bible calls it. Let them not have dominion over me. And that's what people do. They allow that presumptuous spirit to have dominion over them. Then shall I be upright, and I shall be innocent from the great transgression. Psalms 19, verse 12. Please, 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 do not literally have a script written out about him or her before you've even got to the discussion or the issue what you're trying to face. Don't preempt. Don't presume to know him that well. You know what he's going to say before he says it. You know whether he's going to clean the room or not, because you just think you know his habits and his patterns so well. You've already got the argument lined up. That's a presumptuous spirit. And if you are constantly presuming and preempting everything you think I say, everything you think I'm going to do, there's no room for me. In fact, you've already got me wrong before I've even started. You've got me judged and executed before I've even had a trial. Does that make sense what I'm saying to you? And sometimes it can be that way. Just because you've been together for a while doesn't mean you know what I'm going to do. Doesn't mean you know what I'm going to say. Give me that space. Give me that room. Give me the benefit of the doubt, please, before you presume to know what I'm going to say. So you've already prepared your answer to something I've not even said yet. In other words, you're living in your head, your own head. You've got me running around your head, having an argument with you in your head, and we've not even had the argument yet. You've already worked out the ending in your head, how this is going to go. Point 6, be extremely mindful of the bitter contempt that comes out of your mouth that will fuel, if not ignite, your already lack of reverence for your marriage or relationship. This applies both to husbands and wives. Did everybody get that? Be aware of the bitter contempt. You know, they say sticks and stones can break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's a lie. The most destructive tools are words. Words are so destructive, they can actually curse your seed. And generations after you are still reaping the damage of the words I spoke. Oh, you're no good. Or you're just like your dad. That one will reverberate for years. And them words, he'll quote those words back when he's 30, 40 years of age. And if those words are spoken enough times, you've actually now disabled his ability to really be a man, because he's already felt invalidated by his mother already. But those words weren't even spoke to him, really. It's coming from a relationship that she's having with the dad, but it's now passing on to the next generation. He ain't done nothing, but you're just like it. But I haven't grown up yet. You're just like your dad. That's a curse. That's a curse. You've presumed, you've preempted, you've now sown a seed. That word will now germinate and will grow. Be extremely mindful of the bitter contempt that comes out of your mouth. Husbands and wives, the same applies to you. So when those words you're saying to him are stripping him and they're emasculating him, I hate that word emasculate. It means he no longer feels a man in your presence. If you want him to be a man, don't go stripping down his manhood. Because there's plenty out there that will make him know you are not just a man, you are the man. And vice versa. The same plays out for the wife. Don't strip the wife. Don't break your wife, because there's someone out there that will make her feel like a queen. And you or they will be attracted to wherever they feel made whole and built up and belong. I'm just being real, guys. Can I be real today?
Yes.
trying to help somebody, jeez. Number 7, no matter what, boundaries are there to protect you. They are not meant to be crossed or broken. You've got to have rules in your relationship. We do not speak to each other this way. We don't fight. I don't put my fist to your face. You don't put your fist to my face either. And there's girls out there who don't punch a dude because they've been around the ghetto youth. They think it's cool to do that.
It's true.
Right? We don't do that in here. We don't shout at each. Have boundaries. And what does the word say? I think it's Proverbs 22:8. Boundaries are placed by Yahweh. The institution of marriage belongs to Yahweh. If you did not bring your marriage before Yah in the manner prescribed, he wouldn't even acknowledge it. I think Proverbs 22:28 is, do not move the ancient boundary stones. There have been guidelines for healthy relationships and marriage for years. And if we think that we can live differently and have the same rewards, we are deceived. We need to live according to the same guidelines. Respect, have morality, have decency, be kind, be gentle, be giving, be gentle with your words, be gentle with your actions. If you want that wife, that spouse, that husband that you desire. So make a note of that, Proverbs 22:28, 1 Corinthians 15:33 and 34. In other words, it's selfishness why we end up in the crazy cycle. You are thinking of yourself and self alone. You are thinking that the whole world revolves around your feelings, your thoughts, your desires, and your demands. The crazy cycle gets stuck in the crazy cycle because you're not willing to get out of yourself. You need to be delivered of self. As I said before, marriage is about giving. Not you thinking about it's all about receiving. We are here to give to the other and the other gives to me. We're both submitting one to another.
Is it both thing then, receiving and giving?
I said marriage is about submitting one to another.
That's right.
That's what I said at the beginning. It's about submitting one to another. You don't ever have to stand there saying, when am I going to give? If you're just giving to the other partner, another partner just giving to you, it's a self-sufficient cycle. But don't come into the marriage or relationship expecting everything. Just give. And the other partner should have the same mindset. It's self-sufficient. The crazy cycle happens when spouses focus on their own needs and overlook the needs of the other. In other words, selfishness. Then we have, so this crazy cycle, without love, she reacts without respect, and he reacts without respect, he reacts without love. We want to break that crazy cycle. So get this drummed into your heart and mind. She desires love. He needs respect. Drum that into your mind. Let that become almost like a mantra to you. Because that is the cycle that the Bible, not me, the Bible has prescribed as your prescription for your health. During, let's call it intense fellowship. We would say arguments and fights. We can call it in the faith intense fellowship. Men go through emotions, women go through different emotions. For the man, he's tempted to go into what's called fight mode or flight mode. Fight mode is warrior mode, where he's going to fight. Or flight mode, he'll just stonewall and shut down and he'll not be there. He'll be unavailable. Which is a prelude to caveman mode, which for him is how he calms down. So that's where he disappears now. He removes himself from you into an environment where you ain't there, basically, and you ain't allowed. And for him, that's where he can go and calm down. And I would say to you today, if you allow your spouse to continually go into caveman mode as though that's helping him, it's not. You're just mollycoddling a problem. Okay? That is not an option for him to keep on going into caveman mode. You're just feeding into the problem again. We don't want that. That is not meant to be a place where I go into caveman mode and I'm good there. That is just mollycoddling the child. Because caveman mode is him going into boy mode. Yeah. That's PlayStation time. That's me just zonking out from all responsibilities, everything. I don't want to hear from you. Don't want to speak from you. I need my boy time mode. And we don't want to keep feeding into that. However, this is interpreted as hostility by the female. So she sees all of that, and emotionally, for her, that's a sign of hostility. Leave him alone in his cave, don't trouble him, and he'll be all right. Let the beast be all by himself for a while. For the woman, during intense fellowship, she'll criticize and complain. She becomes more historical than hysterical. That's when she brings up everything you did from 19 when? At 10:35, and at 11 o'clock you did this? It's like, how do you remember all that stuff? Oh, I remember everything. She becomes historical more than hysterical, which becomes an ocean of emotion for her. She expects him to discern what she's going through. And this is where women have that gift of discernment, but they automatically expect you. Why don't you have the same gift of discernment? Why can't you understand why I'm going through all? You were the one who put me through all this stuff in the first place. So she expects you to know exactly how she's feeling. However, this is interpreted by the male as contempt for who he is as a human being. That's how we interpret it. You can't. Key to get out of this stuff. Apologize. The definition of apologizing does not mean that you are wrong and the other person right. It just means that you value your relationship more than your ego. The power of apologizing is powerful to reach the heart, to open up that soil that's become fallow ground, hard ground, you can't penetrate it. When we apologize, we tenderize and soften the soil. So that the soil now is good for receiving seed. But when you're dropping seed, and it's just bouncing off, it's because the soil, the heart, has become hardened. When she's gone through so much, she becomes hardened to you. And the way you soften her heart is by apologizing. Showing that you are remorseful that we're even in this stage. Showing you're remorseful to her is interpreted as, you are a man, you're human. You're oh, I thought you were still that Sasquatch creature playing the Xbox, but now you've become human again, all the hairs have dropped off and you look more like my man again, and you're showing remorse, which shows me you're human again. You're humane. So apologizing is neither confessing that you were wrong and she's right, it just means I value our relationship more than my ego. And now back to Rohit's point. There is no room for ego. There's no room for that ego in a relationship. That has to get crucified. That has to get placed on the altar. Pride is the word we use specifically for ego. Pride. There's no room for pride. Then we get to this issue. Sex tonight. Who decides? And it's good the kids still be around because they need to hear this stuff. We cannot get into this thing as to someone controlling whether there's intimacy in the relationship or not. What does the Bible say on the subject? 1 Corinthians chapter 7. Make a good note about this one, everybody. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verses 3 through 4. Make a good note for those of you online watching. It says, and I'm reading from the ESV version, and it doesn't matter what version you read from, it's still the same. The husband should give his wife her conjugal rights, and likewise the wife to her husband. For the wife does not have authority over her own body, but the husband does. Likewise, the husband does not have authority over his own body, but the wife does. So you're not a slave, man. You're not a slave, woman. But we are not adding more flame to the fire, and we are only doing that if we cut off this conjugal rights that we have as husband and wife. You don't own your own body. From the moment you got married, you now became her property. She became your property. So you cannot say, nah, I ain't feeling you, not tonight, and not tomorrow night, and not for the rest of the week. You don't have that right. And I'm going to go someplace with this in a bit, but that's a hard one for people to swallow. Go ahead, bro.
There are exceptions, like
Yeah.
if you come to agreement, when you're fasting, you put that aside until after the fasting you come back together to prevent the temptation. It also the other one, when you compromise, if the wife don't want to, and you come to agreement, okay, then not tonight. But you can't force the woman.
Of course not.
Because even in marriage, you can still rape the wife.
Absolutely, yes.
And in some cases,
Say that again. Even in marriage, you can still
rape the wife.
right. Not that we're not saying you should.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm defending the fact that you shouldn't be doing that.
Correct.
So you come to agreement not to on that, and same for the vice versa. If the man says he's not going to do it tonight, that you come to agreement and you don't do it. But other than that, my body belongs to the hers belongs to you.
Right. And the key word that we're going to highlight, before there's any abstinence, there must first be agreement. You can't decide, oh, I'm fasting, that's it, you ain't getting none for the next 2 months. I'm fasting for the Lord. My body's holy. No. The word agreement was in the scripture. We're going to get to that. Why is that script like this? Okay. What am I saying here? Yeah, this is the one, sorry. So 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 3 to 4, is that the same verse? The husband should give to his wife what she's entitled to in the marriage relationship, and the wife should do the same for her husband. It's the same verse. Charge her own body, same thing. There's one verse I wanted to quote. It's the agreement verse. It was for fasting, as you said correctly, but it's the agreement. I wanted to give the verse so people can see it. It must be with prior agreement. The time that you're going to fast for must be agreed. You don't disagree indefinitely. We agree the time. If there's not agreement, that can't work. That's not going to work. There has to be complete agreement for the period of fasting that you're going to be fasting for, from both sides. That's important. The reason why I'm pushing on this is a wonderful book that Dr. Loris Lessinger wrote called The Proper Care and Feeding of Husbands. And the tests were done, the stats and the reports were written that proved, the results came in, that couples that were fighting and feuding, when they kept the door of marital relations open, they actually found that they restored peace. They restored right state and right mind in the relationship. They didn't feel like it, and this is more so from the wives. At first, they didn't feel like it. But once they engaged, they actually enjoyed it. And once they engaged, they wanted more. But at first, they couldn't stand the guts. They couldn't stand you. They didn't want to know the husband or the partner. They didn't want anything to do with it. But when they actually yielded to caring for their husbands, regardless of how you feel. So in other words, I'm saying you are loving him in spite of his actions. In spite of what he said and done, you are still loving him. That's agape. That's unconditional. So whether I love you or whether I'm kind to you or not, you're still loving me. Let me take it from a gospel perspective. Were we all loving Yeshua when Yeshua came and died for us? Were you lifted up hands high worshiping him as Messiah when he came and... No. Many of us were out in the clubs, in the parties, selling the dope, running the whatever, when he came and died for you. So I'm saying to you, love does not wait on you to do the right thing. Love will just love you in spite of what you are not doing or what you are doing. So this principle, and she's cutting a lot of flack, but every wife that's phoned in and said, you know what? At first, I objected to your book. I didn't agree with it. To me, it just sounded like more feminist rubbish. But in actual fact, I became a better wife when I just loved my husband regardless. And it opened him up to being more of what I wanted to see in him. So when communication channels are already tense, you don't go closing down the main channels. Okay? Not that it's the only one, but you don't want to start adding more burden to the problem by withholding that part of you that is supposed to be open at all times in the marriage. So this is the proper way, but she goes much more into it, and it actually does. The enemy wants there to be this in your relationship. He wants to cause famine. He wants to dry up every waterbed, every well in the marriage. And that area is a huge area. If he dries that up and causes a famine in your marriage, it's not long before you go looking to Egypt for sustenance. And we all know what that means. Luke chapter 11, verse 24. When the unclean spirit has gone out of a person, it passes through waterless places seeking rest. Satan is looking for a relationship in difficulty to just, I can live right here. I'm comfortable right here. Arguing and fighting, no relationship between husband and wife. This is my yard. Luke 11:24. When the unclean spirit is gone out of the man, he walketh through dry places. We don't want to dry up the wells in the home. The unclean spirit is finding a place where there's strife, turmoil, no love, but yet there's a marital covenant there, but it's broken. That's an ideal place for a spirit to take a rest in. So don't be surprised if when you've got disagreement between husband and wife, for some reason the enemy seems to have come right into this marriage. How did he get in here? Because you've created the ideal location. You've become like, you're now on mytrip.com for every demonic spirit to come and dwell in your relationship. Let's go back here. You don't want to add a famine to your problems or either partner to go south to Egypt just to get their desires fulfilled. We don't want to create that situation in our relationship. So who decides on sex tonight or who doesn't decide? Well, the Bible decides. You don't decide. He doesn't decide. She doesn't decide. The Word decides on whether we have intimacy tonight. And the Word says, unless you've got prior agreement, it's supposed to happen. Okay? You two of you come together and you'll find that you're far better, decent people when you're actually together in that way than you were before. Because let's get scientific. You're releasing all the endorphins. You're releasing all these hormones that are all feel-good hormones. You're all open and for her, it calms her. For him, he feels now empowered. He feels the release. He's at peace. Both need it. Both become one. Both get benefit from it. So on a very scientific, basic level, it's good for you. Why would you want to cut that off? You're married as well, especially if you're married. This is a relationship now where it's fulfilling its purpose. Ephesians 5:26. That he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of the water by the word. I'm talking about the washing machine. How do you wash out all of the badness in the relationship? When the two of you come together, when the two of you are one, you are actually applying scripture and you're helping to cleanse the relationship. She is now feeling happier. She's feeling more loved. You feel more loved. You feel more respected. You are both one. This is how we open up the channels of communication and open up our hearts to each other. You're cleansing out the filth. It doesn't fix everything, but it certainly can heal far more than you realize. Sometimes we don't talk about sex in church, and I'm just not down with it. We should be able to talk about it in a decent way where children can even learn from it as well. We don't want to be in a position where we're actually using sex as a weapon against the other. Using it as a weapon is a no-brainer. That's a huge mistake, to use sex as a weapon against your partner. And people do use that. And you're destroying your own marriage. You're destroying your own relationship. This is what I was looking for. 1 Corinthians 7 verse 5. Do not deprive each other except for a limited time, by mutual agreement, the scripture says. And then only so as to have extra time for prayer, but afterwards come together again, quickly I'll add. Otherwise, because of your lack of self-control, you may succumb to the adversary's temptation. What does that mean? Temptation with somebody else. Straight out. Because there's always somebody just waiting in the shadows to show you or your wife how nice you are and start appreciating your inner virtues. We don't want to dry up things at home, which then, it's a natural need. It's a natural desire. But you dry up things at home, he still has to have crackers and water somewhere. Reading between the lines. She still has to have her needs met too, just like you. Women, newsflash, women desire sex just as much as men. They do. So they have their needs too. They have desires just like you, just like we do. and they will want that same need met. Let's not create a void where someone can step in. The adversary will send someone in. Let's move on quickly. So then after we've had the initial wash, after we've done a huge laundry and all the dirt's been washing out of it, there comes another stage in the washing cycle, which is the rinse and the spin. But this, you'll notice, the washing machine will use more energy in this cycle. It was using energy before. You can even have an eco. When it comes to the rinse and the spin, the whole washing machine's going now, because it's trying to rinse out all that water and dry out the water out of the clothes. It's trying to press it out. So in the rinse, the clothes receive their fabric conditioner. Let's pick up on all these keys. In the rinse cycle, the clothes receive their fabric softener and conditioner. And what does that do? To infuse the rich aroma, aromatic and exotic fragrances into the clothes, so they become attractive again. Let's draw some lessons from this. But now the machine expends more energy to expel the water out of the clothes that were needed to be washed by rinsing them and making them clean. So our relationship has gone through some crazy cycles. Our relationship has gone through some real lows. And you've seen more of the Sasquatch in me than the man in me. And I've seen more of the Evelyn in you, the Wicked Witch of the South, on a broomstick, than my beautiful wife that I married. We no longer recognize each other anymore. In fact, I've seen so much of you, I don't even like you. I don't like the fact that I've seen so much ugliness in you. I've heard things from you. It's actually put me off from you. Once, when the suit and the dress and the shirt and the tie look so nice and crisp and clean, now it's become marred and dirty and soiled. And it even smells off. The fragrance of you is gone. I don't like you anymore. So by going through this rinse cycle, the word teaches you how to put that sweet aroma, that rich aromatic aroma back into you, to infuse you so that now you do smell attractive. You are appealing. The word is complete in the way it handles and processes us. The word can make you new, but make you shiny and new and sweet again.
I can't help it, sorry.
Say it,
sorry.
Yeah, go on.
Sorry. Red beans, I'm just talking about health now. Just know me, I can't help it. Fabric conditioners are not good for us. They've got so much chemicals in it, and it can destroy our clothes and destroy our skin. Obviously, some children are affected and have eczemas and skin conditions. Add a few drops of essential oil into the drawer, lavender, peppermint. Just 1 drop or 2 drops once it's spinning, and then you get proper natural oils in your clothes.
So now we got natural, plant-based essential oils that we can use as fabric conditioner, and also we like it to feel soft. And I'm trying to make some parallels here. I'm using speaking very allegorically. Father wants to return your soft condition, but also wants to infuse you with a sweet aroma. Okay? So for men and for women, we can become very hard and we become very coarse with one another. But Father wants to soften her. He wants to soften you. Father wants to sweeten her aroma and give you a nice fragrance about yourself. So now you're both soft and you're attractive. The aroma of you is welcoming and pleasing again. So this is what Father wants to do through this rinse and spin cycle. And it is attainable. So how do we do that practically now? It's called the energizing cycle. So we dealt with the crazy cycle before, but now we're coming to the energizing cycle. How do we energize the relationship? Hebrews 10 verse 35, make a note. And this is talking about energizing. So we're getting back the condition of the person before. The ladies become like gentle women again, and the man becomes like a gentle man. No more Evelyn. Hebrews 10 verse 35. Cast not away therefore your confidence, which has great recompense of reward. Have that confidence in you about your relationship. Believe that actually, I didn't marry the wrong person. I chose you. I knew what I was doing when I met you. Right now, things don't look good, but I know who I married. Have that confidence in your relationship again. In other words, hope. Never let hope be robbed from you. Revelation 2:10. Keys. Fear none of these things. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried. And you all being tried. And ye shall have tribulation 10 days. You will have a time of testing, however long your 10 days is. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. Be confident that whatever we're going through, Father's allowing us to go through this to make us stronger. How is your marriage going to be proven to be a good marriage if you don't go through anything? But the minute you go through something, you're out, you're gone, or you're changing partners. Father wants to test it. When they build a brand new Range Rover, they don't just put it out in the showroom. They put that thing through some tests to see, is it even roadworthy? Are there faults that we don't know about? Has it been quality checked? Hallelujah. So when you get married, expect to go through some trials so you can earn your QC stamp. So this is where we energize the relationship. His love motivates her respect. Her respect motivates his love. And now we get the new cycle going. So now we're energizing the relationship. We're motivating it. We're energizing it. Ladies, make a note of this one. And gentlemen, make a note as well, please. This acronym, I want this applied in your relationships. And share this with your friends so your friends get this information as well who are in relationship. Couples for her. C is for closeness. She wants you to be close. So men, pay good attention. She wants you to be close. You know, once a pastor said to me, I don't like the idea of husbands and wives having large beds. A husband and wife should have a very small bed so they come together closer. Beds these days are too large. And I get the point. We have all these, and I like my space. But I get the point. Is that husbands and wives should be very close together. There's too much space in between us these days. We should be used to physically being close together. My kids, when they were young and even to this day, they love to be sitting next to dad or literally on dad's lap. That's just how we are, physically very close. That's how husbands and wives should be, physically very close. Openness. She wants you to open up to her. Men, I know that it's a sign of strength to just be this stone wall, but that can be your problem. Is that you're so hard that she can't crack your nut. It's like you're just, you're just so hard, you're impregnable. She wants you to be like those eggs, Cadbury's cream eggs, hard on the outside but soft-centered. She wants you to be able to be, she wants to know that she can crack your hard exterior and get to the soft center anytime she wants to. She wants you to be a man, but then she wants you to be her man. Okay? So she wants you to be open to her at all times. Understanding, don't try to fix her every time you see a problem. Most times, she just wants you to listen. Don't come in, because we as men, our nature is fix it. As boys, fix it. Give me Lego Meccano, I'm fixing something. I love that. Give me a spanner, I love to fix something. So in life, put me towards something, point me towards something, I'll fix it. That's our nature as men. But with women, they don't share everything with you for you to offer your solution. They want you to offer your shoulder, your arm, your embrace. They want you to be empathetic, which means to emotionally feel me, sense me. Don't pity me. Yeah? Don't sympathize. Don't say, I feel sorry for you. I want you to empathize. Feel my emotions. Feel where I'm at. And be here with me. Don't be there in your solution. Does that make sense? So try to zip this, and open this. And your eyes on her, not on the television. Yeah, I'm hearing you, babe. Yeah. Yeah, I'm listening. Yeah, I'm with you. Ashish, get my drink from the kitchen. Right? You need to be here.
Listening skills, actively listening. So when you say listening, you listen to the feeling, not just the words.
Of course.
Powerful stuff. This will save your marriage. This will make you be, this is my husband. This is my man. These are the keys. Peacemaking. She wants you to say, I'm sorry. Remember the apologizing thing? It's not that you're admitting fault. It's that you're saying, I'm sorry for right now, the disconnect between me and you. Our connection means more to me than me being right. So I'm apologizing for us right now disconnecting. Also, if you've done wrong, admit it.
Yeah.
Let's not miss the obvious one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't get so ego-filled that you can't apologize for what you said. And that's a big one, guys. And ladies, please don't let your ego prevent you from apologizing for what you said last week. Just because it was last week doesn't mean it's forgotten.
That's right.
Go back and clean up your own mess.
Yeah.
Don't wait for me to do something to deserve an apology. I deserve the apology anyway. And vice versa is true for you too. Oops, I'm finished yet. Back. Loyalty. She needs to know that you're committed. Loyalty 100% all the time. Esteem. She wants to honor and cherish. She wants you, to honor and cherish her. That's key for your woman to know that you cherish her, that you esteem, you value her. Even when she doesn't see any worth in herself, do you show her, I see worth, I see value. In fact, I see X, Y, Z about you. And she needs to know what you see about her. Because you're supposed to be the man with the vision. Can you into me see? Intimacy. Into me see. Can you see into her? Remember, at the beginning, Adam, I want to go there, I want to jump ahead of myself. Adam was given the responsibility to Shem and Kara everything. He named every animal, not Yahuwah. So Adam had the foresight and the vision and the role to name everything, his designation. The woman is looking for you for her purpose. She's looking for you for her designation. So if you see into her, you speak into her, and you call those things out that are not yet. Calling those forth, those things that are not as though they were. Your job as the man is to put the seed into her and to call it forth. So if you believe in greatness in her, you speak it into her and it will come forth. By her very design, a woman has a womb waiting for seed. When the seed comes into it, she will then know what to do with that seed to bring it forth. So us as men, learn, put the righteous seed into her, speak the righteous word into her, and it will grow, nurture, and come forth. So taking care of her is taking care of you. Does that make sense? Very deep, very spiritual, but very profound and very true. Esteem her. So we've covered that. This is how you demonstrate, not just spell love to your lady. This is how we do it. Now, for ladies, conquest. Appreciate his desire to work and achieve. Listen up, ladies. H. This is chairs. So hierarchy. Appreciate his desire to protect and provide. Authority. Appreciate his desire to serve and to lead. Insight. Appreciate his desire to analyze and counsel. Relationship. Appreciate his desire to shoulder friendship. For shoulder-to-shoulder friendship. And sexuality. Appreciate his desire for sexual intimacy. If you as a woman realize that your role as a woman is to build your husband's throne, then he will sit on it properly. But you build him the throne and show him, this is the throne I have built my husband. He will sit and rule as a king righteously. You have a role to play. Know how, and I'm going to say this to the ladies, men close your ears. Know how to speak to the king inside the fool. Yeah? Know how to speak to the king inside the fool. So when you see that man and you just can't stand him, you don't just carry on speaking evil to him. Speak to the king inside, the royalty. Speak to the righteous king inside of him, and it will come forth.
Yes.
If you want to see it, call it forth. Speak it forth, and it will eventually come. But if you're going to get down low and start speaking to the pauper inside the fool, that's all you're going to have. But if you speak to the king inside of him, I'm just dealing with your mindset here. Right now, you're in a situation you want him to become a man that you're not seeing. Speak to him. Speak to the king inside of him, and it will come out for you.
That's Right.
We will not get out of the crazy cycle by keeping doing what we're doing, or doing what we have been doing, or doing what you used to be doing in the world.
This is good, man.
We're coming close to the end. Just a couple more slides and then we're done. I know you've been very patient. I didn't get a chance to time this, and we're just 2 slides from the end of today. But I think, is this good? Is this helping you guys? Is this good? Because we need this for the body.
Hallelujah.
If we don't have healthy relationships or healthy marriages, we won't have a healthy and attractive congregation. We want people to come into a healthy and attractive congregation. We need this stuff so that our marriages and our families are strengthened. 1 Peter 3:9. In the same way, and the Bible has a lot to say about marriage. In the same way, wives, submit to your husbands. This is Kepha now, as an elder. We've heard from Shaul, but now we're looking at Kepha. Submit to your husbands, so that even if some of them do not believe the word, they will be won over by your conduct. Did you hear that? Without your saving anything, without your saying anything. So by your actions, by the way you love me, you look past all my faults, and you're loving me with your conduct. You're winning me with your conduct. So sometimes you don't have to say anything. You don't have to say anything. Sometimes just by your actions, you can steer him to being the way that you need him to be.
Does that also, that first word, or in the same way, wives submit, so that even in them days, is that people who are unyoked together as well?
Unequally yoked?
Unequally, yeah.
Yeah. For the people, if you're with someone who's not a believer, and you want them to believe, but they're not coming to the faith, the best actions, or the best testimony is the one through action. Love them through actions, not just through words.
That's right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Verse 2. As they see your respectful and pure behavior, your beauty should not consist of external, such as fancy hairstyles, gold jewelry, or what you wear. Rather, let it be the inner character of your heart, with, look at this word, imperishable quality of a gentle and quiet spirit. This culture that we live in, it's about being loud and visible and colorful. But the word says the imperishable quality and virtue is that of a quality of a gentle and quiet spirit. That meek spirit is far more attractive to every man than the loud, boisterous, want to give you, 10 pence out of her tongue, whatever she wants to say to you, she'll say it to you. She'll just speak whatever comes into her mind. That's not attractive. That's ugly, right? We want the gentle, meek, and quiet spirit. In Yahuwah's sight, this is of great value.
Yeah.
This is how the holy women of the past who put their hope in Yahuwah used to adorn themselves and submit to their husbands. Meaning, I don't have to keep going on at you to get what I want. I put my hope in Yahuwah that he will discipline you for me. That way we don't come into odds and fights. But your father will mentor you. And this is where we need to believe that Father is actively involved in your marriage more than you realize. Or are you not employing him in your marriage? So it says the way Sarah obeyed Abraham. Did I jump a bit? The way Sarah obeyed Abraham, honoring him as her Lord. You are her daughters. I love this bit. You are her daughters if you do what is right and do not succumb to what? Yeah. So it tells you the reason why many couples are doing what they're doing, or especially wives, is because they're fearful.
That's right.
They're fearful. Oh, I'll never be loved in this relationship. You'll never treat me right. Oh, if I were with someone else, I shouldn't have married you. Fear steers their decisions. I love the acronym for fear. False evidence appearing real. It's all just a deception.
Is that also people who are in an abusive relationship? Because there's, when you see women who are in an abusive relationship, there's partners beating up. I can't leave him. I still love him. Do you know what I mean?
That one, I don't want to comment on that too much, because I would not want to say in every situation, get out. Because some situations can be turned around. There are many marriages where men who came from abusive fathers, their fathers used to beat them. So for them, the way they deal with conflict is their fists. With counseling, with therapy, they can learn to articulate themselves through words and express themselves. Because for some men, they don't know how to, and women, they don't know how to express themselves other than through angry outbursts.
Yeah.
When you learn the tools of communication, the power of conversation, I speak, you listen. You speak, I listen. When we have these boundaries and these rules, we can actually mediate our own issues. But when you don't know how to talk, you don't know how to conversate, then you go back to your frustration. But some situations are, some men are extremely abusive, and some women are extremely abusive. And I would not want anyone to suffer long-term abuse to the point where women have been killed by their own husbands. So each situation is different. I don't want to give a generic response into all. I would say if you're in an abusive relationship, you need to go for counseling immediately. Because no one should be putting any hands on anyone. You should not be suffering, being battered and bruised in your marriage. That's an abuse of the marriage. The marriage has been broken from that point. Because the man wouldn't batter and abuse himself, would he? So he shouldn't be doing it to you. In God's sight, this is great value. This is how the holy women of the past lived. They put their hope in Yahuwah. They used to adorn themselves in the hope of Yahuwah and adorn themselves, and they submit to their husbands in that manner. The way Sarah obeyed Abraham, honoring him as her Lord. You are her daughters if you do what is right and do not succumb to fear. I love stressing that point. You husbands, likewise, so like I said, the scriptures are balanced. You husbands, likewise, conduct your married lives with what?
Understanding.
So get to understand, know your partner, know your spouse, know your wife. Know her. And you can't do that in the bedroom. You've got to talk. Let me say this. The most intimate form of interaction is not in the bedroom. Intimacy is information. Intimacy is information. Let me prove it to you. Two people can be extremely, extremely intimate over a telephone. A country apart. They could be a hemisphere apart. But they can be so intimate with one another over that phone call, it's as though they were right there in the same room together. They know everything about each other. They connect with one another. They feel for one another, yet they're not in the same physical proximity. But yet the knowledge that they have of each other is so intimate, nobody else knows anything about it. So intimacy is expressed more powerfully through information than just physical contact. You can be physically connecting and still not mentally connecting. Or heart connecting, but yet bodies are meeting. So intimacy is expressed more through information. So this understanding is, how much do you really know your spouse? Husbands, do you know your wife? Although your wife may be weaker physically, you should respect her. So there we see the balance. She deserves respect too. You should respect her as a fellow heir of the gift of life. If you don't, brothers, your prayers will be blocked. Hit the ceiling, come right back down again. Finally, all of you, be one in mind and feeling. Love as brothers and be compassionate and humble-minded, not repaying evil with evil or insult with insult, but on the contrary, with blessing. For it is to this that you have been karad, you've been called to be a blessing to each other, not to be a curse and an insult, so that you may pay or you may receive a blessing. Love and respect must be unconditional. It's a given. Love and respect your wife. Wife, love and respect your husband. Spouses, love and respect each other. When we come back next week, we're going to deal with one other cycle that washing machines have. We've dealt with the washing, we've dealt with the conditioning, getting the water out. But there's one more cycle, which is to clean the drum. And that you do with the clothes out. So we're going to deal with cleaning the drum in the Love and Respect series next week. Thank you for your time.
Can I just say a final thought?
Yes, sir. Any thoughts? Any questions, actually?
I mean, that's all brilliant, because it's all theory based and stuff like that. And it's very.
This is not theory.
I'm looking at the old generation that never knew all this, and their relationship is far better than this, and they've been with each other for 60 odd years, 70 odd years, still today. And none of them knew any of this, how to maintain a relationship. So what were there?
They did know it. They did know it. They didn't have all the PowerPoint presentation.
I mean,
what is this? So this is good. This is a good question. What have you heard today that you don't know already? As in love and respect. All I've taught is how to use it, how to apply it. But love and respect has been known from time immemorial. So this is not new. The old generations knew all of this. Remember when I talked about the ancient boundaries? They kept within, they had boundaries. They did not shout. They did not curse. They did not swear. Okay? So all of what I've shown you here today is nothing actually new. We've got books and we've got fancy terms and phrases and phraseology for it, but the principles are ancient. They're nothing new. Just like your parents applied love and respect and decency.
Yeah.
We're losing that.
Because I haven't read none of that.
Yeah.
The only way I see this was through my parents and grandparents.
That's right.
The books ain't gonna help me, and the books never helped them.
So
'Cause
why
I was back in India and none of this, and they've grown up in villages
Yeah.
where these things were not being taught, and it's just been through. They saw their parents, they saw their grandparents, and they saw their so forth, and they learned through that.
So you've just answered the problem of today's generation, which is,
Have I?
yeah, this is what Junior always goes on about. This is what I always go on about.
Father's generation.
Fatherless generation.
And the enemy, over time, they used to foster this, what you're talking about. And as generation have come down, Satan has brought in devices, split relationships, abuse, intoxicants, things like that, and those things are broken families. If you've come from, or know somebody who have come from a broken family, or experienced traumatic experiences, shall I say, they adopt that philosophy in their relationship until they change their mindset, and how they do that is therapy, come to the truth. Do you see what I'm saying? So, and I can speak from experience because I come from that kind of background. You see, so the only thing that's helped me in that is coming to the truth. I would have done the same thing when these are grown up. When I grew up, as a beat them. You know what I'm saying?
Still beaten.
But as I got to a certain age, I thought, I don't need to, because I did it because that's what I've learned from my parents or from my dad to say. So, so it's the truth. The truth kind of changes how your mindset is. I'm not saying it.
We don't. It's because we're not having a healthy marriage modeled for us. When we have a healthy marriage modeled for us, people stay in marriage. People getting married and they stay married. But because we don't have that model around anymore, it's all broken homes, it's all dysfunctional marriages. People are now choosing not to marry because of what they see at home. Oh, I would never want that. But what you saw was marriage and communities being married and staying married. So therefore you grew up knowing what a healthy model of marriage looked like. And you desired that. So because we don't see it anymore, does that mean that marriage is invalidated? Which is what they're trying to say. They're trying to invalidate the need for marriage anymore. Common law wife and common law husband. Live together in sin and go where you want to go.
That's right.
Right? It's supposed to be between marriage. Marriage is only marriage when it involves Yah.
Yeah.
It came from Yah.
That's right.
So this only can be qualified as a marriage if it's been sanctified with His presence in it. So it's 3 people in the marriage.